I never thought I would reach a point in my life where I'd be hiding my identity from my own daughter-in-law. Yet there I was standing outside her restaurant, the Golden Fig, wearing a short brown wig, thick round glasses, and an apron that smelled faintly of lemon soap and deceit. My reflection in the glass door almost startled me. This isn't you, I told myself, but the heaviness in my chest pushed back. It has to be you for Daniel, my son. My sweet, gentle Daniel had changed over the past few months. He had lost weight, hardly slept, and his once bright eyes dimmed every time someone mentioned Emily. When I asked what was wrong, he brushed it off, saying, "Just stress, Mom." But I knew my child. Stress didn't hollow a man out like that. Stress didn't make a husband afraid of his wife's temper. Emily had built her restaurant into the trendiest spot in the city. Everyone raved about her charm, her vision, her leadership. But behind that perfect exterior, I sensed something darker. Something deliberate, something dangerous. So when a waitress job opened, I applied under the false name Martha Ellis. I lowered my voice, said I'd recently moved into the city and needed extra work. Emily barely looked at me during the interview. She didn't recognize me at all, which somehow hurt more than it relieved me. "You'll do," she said simply, already checking her phone. Just like that, I became a disguised worker in her gleaming empire. The restaurant was elegant white marble counters, warm golden lights, an expensive decor my son could never afford alone. Staff whispered that every item in the place came from Emily's connections, though no one quite knew what that meant. My first day was a whirlwind of trays, menus, and hurried footsteps, but the real storm was Emily. Her sweetness vanished the moment no customers were watching. She snapped at the chef for plating too slowly. She hissed at the hostess for mispronouncing a regular's name. She lectured the dishwasher as though speaking to a child. I kept my head down, pretending to be intimidated, pretending to be nobody. But inside, anger curled like a fist. During break, I sat quietly at the small table near the staff lockers. A young server named Mia leaned close and whispered, "You're new, right? Just don't cross Emily. She fires people for breathing wrong." I forced a nervous nod, as Martha would. But inside, a mother's fire stirred. As the evening rush came in, I found myself constantly observing Emily, how she faked her smile, how she touched customers' arms too intimately, how she whispered secrets into her phone every time she stepped into her office. None of it sat right. But the first real crack in her perfect mask came from an overheard conversation near the bar. I heard she had another late-night meeting with the investors. One bartender whispered, "And money's been disappearing from somewhere." "Don't say that too loudly," his coworker replied. "Emily will cut your hours." I swallowed hard. Disappearing money, late-night meetings, and Daniel didn't know. That night, while wiping down tables, I looked around the bustling room, glasses clinking, conversations buzzing, laughter echoing across polished floors, and felt a truth settle heavily in my bones. Something was very, very wrong here, and I knew I had only scratched the surface. I hadn't yet heard what would destroy my heart. I hadn't yet reached table 14 or table 7, but the path toward those discoveries had already begun, with me wearing a disguise, a borrowed name, and a mother's determination burning in my chest. Because if something or someone was hurting my son, I would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. By my third week at the Golden Fig, I had learned how to glide between tables like a shadow. No one paid attention to me anymore, not the customers, not the staff, and certainly not Emily. I had become invisible, which was exactly what I needed. Every shift, I walked in with a silent prayer that my disguise would hold, not because I feared being exposed. I feared what exposing would mean for Daniel. If Emily was truly hiding something, the wrong timing could destroy him. But the truth has a way of revealing itself when you least expect it. And for me, It happened at table 14. Table 14 sat in a corner near the large window, a prime spot often reserved for regulars. On that particular evening, two impeccably dressed women arrived, Victoria and Leela. They had been coming in for weeks, always wearing expensive jewelry and carrying handbags that looked worth more than my car. Emily treated them like royalty. Bring them the Sauvignon Blanc from my private selection, she told me. Complimentary. She never gave anything away for free, so I knew these women were important to her. When I walked over with a small smile and poured their wine, I couldn't help noticing how relaxed they were, like women who knew secrets and wore them like diamonds. I turned to leave, but before I could step away, Victoria sighed dramatically and said, "Well, Emily is almost done moving the funds. She said by next quarter she'll have full control." My grip tightened on the wine bottle. Leela smirked, and Daniel, "Does he still think she's running this place honestly?" Victoria laughed, low and cruel. "He's clueless. Poor man is practically financing her getaway." My heart slammed against my ribs. I steadied my breath, pretending to adjust the tablecloth, while my ears absorbed every detail like a sponge. She said once she gets the ownership documents signed, she'll leave him. Leela added casually, swirling her wine. "She's already picking out apartments with that new man of hers." A cold shiver ran down my spine. Emily planning to leave my son. After draining him emotionally and financially, my eyes burned, but I kept my face calm. Victoria leaned in, lowering her voice, but not enough. "Emily said his love is convenient. He's predictable, easy. She said she needs someone more exciting." The words sliced through me like knives. Daniel, my gentle, loyal Daniel, was being mocked, used, betrayed. And these women spoke as if it was a clever joke. I forced myself to move away, hands trembling, breathing shallow. I hid behind the service station and scribbled everything onto a small notepad I kept tucked under my apron. My handwriting was shaky, letters sharp, uneven, angry, full control, ownership documents, new man, leaving Daniel. Funds moved. I read the words again and again until my throat tightened. Every line felt like a punch. How long had she been planning this? How long had my son been living beside someone who saw him as a stepping stone? Later that night, Emily approached me. "Martha," she said, adjusting her diamond bracelet. "One Daniel definitely hadn't bought. Table 14 loves their service. Keep that up." Her smile was sweet, too sweet. I swallowed my rage. "Yes, ma'am." Her eyes were cold despite the smile. "And stay quiet around my VIP. They enjoy privacy." Privacy, I thought. No, what they enjoyed was gossiping about betrayal. When she walked away, I watched her back, wondering how deep her lies truly went. Table 14 had shaken me, but a deeper truth whispered inside me. This was only the beginning. I didn't know yet that Table 7 would reveal something far more devastating, something that would change everything. If Table 14 broke my heart, Table 7 would shatter it. If Table 14 cracked the foundation beneath my feet, Table 7 was the moment it collapsed entirely. I remember that evening with painful clarity. The restaurant buzzed with a full house, the warm light bouncing off polished glasses, laughter rolling between tables like soft waves. But beneath the noise, I felt an uneasiness, a pressure building in my chest. I had learned too much already, yet not enough to understand the whole truth. Emily was in an unusually sharp mood. Her heels clicked aggressively across the floor, and she snapped at anyone who breathed near the wrong direction. "Martha, Table 7 needs refills. Move faster," she hissed. I nodded, forcing a timid smile, but inside I was boiling. I walked toward Table 7, carrying a tray of water and wine. 2 men were seated there, young, wealthy, looking, dressed in tailored suits. They had the relaxed confidence of men who believed the world bent for them. I approached with the same quiet, invisible presence I had used for weeks. "Can I top these off for you, gentlemen?" I asked softly. "Sure, go ahead," one of them said without even glancing at me. Good. Being ignored made hearing easier. As I poured, their conversation spilled out carefree, careless, devastating. "Man, Emily was wild last night," said the one with the gold cufflinks. "Did you see the car that guy picked her up in? That wasn't cheap." My hand paused midair. "Oh yeah," the other replied. "She was practically glued to him, and that bracelet he gave her. Wasn't that the same one she claimed the restaurant paid for?" A cold wave washed over me. "That's the one," Cufflinks said, laughing. "She brags about it all the time. Says the business pays for anything she doesn't want Daniel to notice." Daniel, my son, sacrificing pieces of his happiness while she collected gifts from another man. I forced myself to continue pouring despite the tremor in my hand. Cufflinks continued, voice low but enthusiastic. "She said he's boring, that he doesn't challenge her, that she only keeps him around because he trusts too easily." The other man laughed harder. "Yeah, she told us she calls him a blind idiot. Can you imagine saying that about your own husband?" My breath caught. It felt like someone had wrapped a hand around my throat and squeezed. I gripped the tray so hard my fingers went numb. But the nightmare wasn't over. Gold Cufflinks leaned forward with a smirk. "Honestly, she's brilliant though. She's almost done emptying those accounts. Once she finishes, she's skipping town with her new guy. Daniel will never know what hit him." The other man added casually. My knees nearly gave out. Skip town, empty the accounts, using my son until she squeezed the last drop of loyalty out of him. I had to step back before my disguise cracked. I turned away, walked briskly to the hallway behind the kitchen, and pressed myself against the wall, trying not to fall apart. My chest ached with a grief I hadn't felt since the day I lost my husband, but this was different. This was betrayal mixed with helplessness. A mother's pain wrapped in fury. When I finally regained control, I pulled out my phone. My hands still shook, but I forced myself to do what had to be done. I recorded the rest of their conversation, each word digging deeper into my heart. Later that night, as Emily walked past me with her perfect smile and poison heart, I knew one thing with absolute clarity. I had enough truth now to burn her whole empire down. But the shattering part wasn't the evidence. It was imagining Daniel hearing it. My sweet boy, my trusting boy. The moment I stepped out of the restaurant that night, the cold air hit me like reality itself. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a planned destruction of my son's life, and I knew Chapter 4 wouldn't be about discovery, it would be about justice. The night after Table 7, I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table, phone in one hand, notebook in the other, replaying every word I had heard. Each sentence felt like a bruise on my heart, and yet I forced myself to listen again and again, because the truth had to be undeniable. By sunrise, my decision was made. I called Daniel. He arrived within minutes, worry written across his tired face. "Mom, what happened? Why did you sound so shaken?" I looked at him, really looked at him. His sunken eyes, his forced smile, the tension he carried like a second skin, and my heart broke all over again. "Sit, sweetheart," I whispered. "There's something you need to hear." I played the recordings from Table 7 first. The moment Emily's cruel words filled the room. Boring, blind idiot, skip town, Daniel flinched as if each syllable struck him physically. By the time I reached the part about the stolen money and the man she planned to run off with, his hands were trembling.